At approximately 9:20 p.m. on Friday, November 21st, one of our marked units attempted a traffic stop, located a vehicle, a suspicious vehicle, northbound 36th Street and 8th Avenue Southeast. The officer involved attempted a traffic stop with this vehicle as it traveled northbound. Emergency equipment had been activated in that attempt. As this vehicle continued on to eastbound Memorial Drive, it was evident that the vehicle was not going to stop, so the officer involved disengaged the traffic stop attempt, had pulled over, and observed the vehicle continue eastbound on Memorial Drive through 39th Street, and as it approached 44th Street Southeast, this vehicle, described as a black SUV, lost control and struck a tree at that location. There were 3 occupants in the vehicle. The driver in his 20s was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 passengers within the vehicle, a 21-year-old male and a 17-year-old female, were transported to hospital in critical condition. Both passengers in the vehicle are currently listed in stable condition with serious injuries. At this point, our traffic section is seized with the investigation. As a matter of protocol, we've also notified ACERT, Alberta Serious Incident Response Team, of this particular incident in the interest of transparency. We attempted a traffic stop, the vehicle did not stop, and as such we will forward the information to them.
Can you explain a little bit more about ACERT's involvement here?
Well, whenever an incident involving the police and serious injury to an individual is involved, a serious injury or fatality in this case, what we'll do is advise them of the incident, and it's up to the ACERT managers to decide whether or not they do get involved in the incident.
So this isn't necessarily a formal ACERT investigation?
No, not at this point. This is a traffic section, Calgary Police Service traffic section investigation. It is a fatal single vehicle collision that occurred, and as part of our policy and procedure, our traffic section will investigate.
Can you say anything about the relationship between the 3 occupants of the vehicle?
At this point, I don't know the exact relationship.
Are they from Calgary?
Yes, all 3 are from Calgary.
Are they known to police?
The driver is known to police, unrelated matters.
What made the vehicle suspicious?
At this point, I don't know.
Sorry, did you say unrelated matters or unrelated?
Unrelated.
Sorry.
Do you know what traffic conditions were last night?
No, not specifically, I don't.
And was Hawks in the air last night?
I'm not aware of Hawk being airborne at that time.
Was the vehicle speeding? Can you say how fast it was going?
As the vehicle was on 36th Street, traveling northbound 36th Street, our officer indicated speeds of 90 kilometers per hour.
Did the officers in the marked vehicle recognize the car or the driver?
That I don't know specifically.
And you're looking to the public for help with this one?
Absolutely. If there are any witnesses to the driving pattern involved and the collision itself, we ask for them to contact the traffic section.
Was there a specific reason for the traffic stop, for a traffic-related offense, or just a black SUV at night in northeast Calgary being pulled over?
Well, this was a black SUV in southeast Calgary. You know, in the officer's mind, acting suspiciously, for that officer, you know, they found it necessary to conduct a traffic stop for that reason.
So do they have to have a reason to pull the vehicle over to begin with, or just because it looks out of place?
Well, under the Traffic Safety Act, pulling over a vehicle to check for documentation or for sobriety of driver, these are the behaviors that I could surmise the officer was looking at.
Sorry if I missed this, but was the SUV stolen? Like, was it registered to one of these occupants, or?
It wasn't listed as a stolen vehicle to my knowledge.
And just to be clear, there was something suspicious that made the officer want to pull this car over, but we don't know what that suspicious behavior or we don't know what that was.
Correct. I don't know the specific details of why the officer wanted to stop it.
And when you said that it was estimated to be traveling at about 90 kilometers per hour, is that when it was on Memorial Drive or?
On 36th Street, Southeast.
Okay, and do you have any indication of how fast it was going when it crashed?
No, I don't. At this point, I can say the marked unit involved had disengaged prior to 39th Street, but was able to continue to see the vehicle in the darkness, the tail lights as it traveled eastbound Memorial.
So, Duty, without giving away any trade secrets, can you just kind of briefly outline the protocol when a traffic stop, or when your officers have to initiate their lights and sirens?
Obligation on the motorist when they do see the emergency vehicle lights is when safe and practicable to pull over. You know, in this particular case, we're dealing with a marked unit. It was quite evident it was a police unit. For the driver of the subject vehicle, our officers understand that it's necessary for some people to first of all recognize that there's a police vehicle behind them and to pull over when it's safe to do so.
And what goes into an officer who is pursuing somebody to then disengage?
Well, we have policy and procedure when it comes to our pursuit policy, much like any other agency. Under this particular circumstance, this was a suspicious vehicle. We do have a number of tools at our disposal to deal with vehicles that pre-pursuit tactics, if you will. And it's not always necessary to pursue a vehicle. We understand, and the public understands, that vehicle pursuits are a dangerous course of action to take, and at all times possible, we'll try to avoid that.
The chance to chat with the injured?
That's part of the investigation that the traffic section will undergo. The unit, the team that's involved are back later on this afternoon, and you know, first and foremost, we need to make sure that their medical attention is given to both parties, and when the timing is right, then and we have an opportunity to talk to them, then we'll interview them.
Was this a two-cruiser unit, Duty, or a single?
A single officer unit.
Single officer.
Yeah.
Any other police units involved, like say trying to come from a different direction to box this guy in, or anybody else coming on the other direction on Memorial Drive?
Not that I'm aware of. Like I said before, this was a run-of-the-mill vehicle that the officer was looking to pull over. It was acting suspiciously in the officer's mind. That's how it started, and it ended very quickly in the officer pulling over.
So just, not that it matters for job's sake, but was it a female or a male officer? It just makes it easier for us to write the story. We can say he or she as opposed to they.
It was a female officer.
Female officer,
Yeah.
okay. And was there any indication that the driver was impaired?
Not at this point. I don't have the specific details of why the officer wanted to pull over the vehicle, other than it was acting suspiciously. So,
As far as you're aware, were there any outstanding warrants for people in the car, or breach of conditions, or anything like that?
no.
Okay.
Do we have exact ages on the injured as well?
Yes, the male party is 21 years old and the female 17.
Any indication where they were coming from, going to?
Without being able to interview them, no.
Were they driving erratically at any point when they were fleeing, or before that?
That I don't know. That broad statement of acting suspiciously, without actually speaking to the officer myself, I don't know.
Were any other vehicles almost hit as they were fleeing?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So, Duty, what happens now with the officer involved? I mean, she wasn't really involved in the accident, but she was involved in the pursuit resulting in the fatality. What happens in terms of her over the next short period of time here?
Well, just for clarity, this is not a pursuit. The officer, we have resources available to all our members. An incident like this is certainly traumatic for anyone that's witnessed it, in particular the officer that's involved. Being a part of trying to stop this vehicle and seeing the vehicle crash For her, it was traumatic, and we'll provide any resources that we have available. We have our psychological services, we have our peer counseling that's available, and if she needs some time, then that's what she'll take.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Judy.
You're welcome.
Just one more question. Was this
Sure.
a veteran officer involved, or just fairly junior or senior, or?
Relatively junior. I don't know the exact years, but yeah, relatively junior.